Hey gamers, this is Liz Davis. I'm from Beyond Solitaire, and I want to do just a quick review of a video game I absolutely loved. So I'm not even going to hide it. This is a super positive review, and it's a review of Pentiment, which is a fairly short but really deep and I feel moving game from Obsidian. So in the game, you're playing Andreas Mahler. This is you in your young days with your flowing locks. You are a journeyman artist who is basically creating a masterpiece. That's it right there. So that you can become a master artist. And you're going to get married when you get home. Your whole life's going to continue. You're not really sure how you feel about that in a lot of ways, but you're kind of in this stopping point in this monastery in a town in Bavaria. And the reason that you're there is because it's one of the last monasteries that does illuminated manuscripts. And so that's what you're working on as part of your masterpiece. And the game is interesting because it happens at this really interesting crossroads in history. So the printing press has been invented, it's taking over. Illuminated manuscripts are starting to be on the decline, and the monastery was making money off of those, so that's really hard. Martin Luther is on the rise with his views, so we're about to have a full-on reformation in the church. And you, Andreas, are also at a crossroads in your life because you're not, you dropped out of university a little while ago, and this art thing is your second chance at a career, but you're not sure if you want to please clients or yourself. Actually, right before this scene, there's a lovely exchange between Andreas and his mentor Piero about his masterpiece that's in progress, and it is something that he's not really quite finding his way with just yet. It looks good, but it doesn't look like something that he made. And so he has a whole conversation about whether he wants to be the sort of person who pleases clients or whether he wants to really be an artist. And those kinds of themes really run through this game in a way that I think is very poignant and lovely. So I will tell you, there is like a murder mystery in this game. So we're just going to look around this beautiful room while I'm talking to you. I don't want to show you too much because there's just so much to see, and I don't want to ruin any of it except for one really big scene that I'm going to show you. I think it's just a perfect illustration of why this game is phenomenal. But there's like a murder mystery in the game. You're going to get to investigate, talk to people. There's this whole town full of people that you're really going to get to know, and in a way you'll feel a deep bond with by the time you finish playing the game. But the murder mystery is the selling point. It's really not the point of this game. And in fact, it's really more of a game about life and art and memory and history. And I'm going to show you just one scene from this game that really floored me when I saw it for the first time and talk about it, I guess, as a way to illustrate what makes Pentiment in particular extremely special. So we're going to talk to Illuminata here. Note that she is a nun. She's in the library. We can't really share space with her. She's behind a locked door, and it's a propriety thing. We are in, a monastery that has combined male and female aesthetics, and we do not get to, get close. But we are going to have a little exchange about the books. So I'm actually going to skip ahead a little bit for y'all because I don't want her to reveal some of the plot points. But we're going to go to just my first favorite scene in this game, but not the only one. So you can get a sense of just how gorgeous and thoughtful this game really is. So we'll click. By the way, before we skip ahead, I want you to just listen to the sound design. Oh, it's gorgeous. And also note the different scripts. So Andreas sees people's thoughts and words in different fonts depending on how he perceives them throughout the game. So sometimes it changes. The printing press guy has like printing font. Andreas has basic educated guy font, as you're about to see. Oh, but gosh, those pin scratches are so good. I never got tired of listening to those after hours of it, frankly. So note that we're going to kind of talk a little bit. There is no spoken text in here. There are some songs that are really gorgeous, but I'll leave you to discover those. But we're going to go ahead and get to the crux of the matter where Illuminata wants us to find a book. All right, so here we are. We've made a deal with Illuminata that in order to find some information about a baron who we met a little bit earlier, and you'll meet him if you play the game, we're going to help her find some books. So this is actually also a great note. So some of the things that you say in this game are remembered. I would say that my only actual complaint about the game is that you get to make some choices about yourself in your background that change the dialogue, but not really the core of the story. It's just like a little bit of different flavor, which makes multiple playthroughs maybe not as satisfying as they could be. But I wouldn't want to mess with the core of this story either, so I get it. So we have carelessly strewn books about the Scriptarium. Sorry, Sister Illuminata. By the way, so this will be a hard but underlined if you've never clicked it before, but I've been messing around here. But if you click something underlined, boom, you find out that in this sort of meta way, you're in a manuscript, and there's gorgeous art. It changes throughout the game, so always click the underlines because you just don't know what you're going to find. It's so cool. And you get a definition of whatever it is you were looking at. So cities in Italy and like famous figures and all kinds of stuff. I learned things from just checking all the little marginalia, which I really liked. And the other thing is that if you read Latin, I would actually really like to see more of this because Andreas is in here. We're at Kirsau Abbey, so this is a mention of where we're at, and this is the town that we're in. So I would really like to see a little bit more. There's like little clues to things about the story in the Latin, which is really delightful. So she's going to tell us what she's looking for, and we're going to return one. She tells us for multiple books, which are all really cool. But I'm just going to show you one scene because I'm hoping that it'll whet your appetite to make you play more of this game. So we're going to look for 2 volumes of the Aeneid, which, if you haven't read it, you should. It's a beautiful, poetic, epic telling of the legend of Aeneas, a heroic Trojan who struggles to reconcile his personal desires with his destiny to found Rome. And it's written by Virgil. It is an absolute classic of Latin literature. And it's also a total ripoff of the Iliad and the Odyssey, but shh. So we are going to go find this book. And you can like talk to her in different ways. But we're just going to keep it quick. We know that Piero has them. So we'll look around for books. These books are right here. So you can see a little red book. You can interact with them. Boom. Suddenly we're in the book. And I had never seen anything like this in a game before. This floored me. It really moved me, actually. And I'm going to show you why. Like, if you've never read the Aeneid, you might not realize how gorgeous this really is. So I want to explain what these images are. So in the Aeneid, which is printed up here, you have several different events, but probably the most famous aspect of the Aeneid is the romance between Dido and Aeneas. So Dido is the queen of Carthage. She's actually had a husband before who died, and she swears she's never going to love again. But then sexy Aeneas shows up, and the gods actually make them fall in love. But Aeneas' destiny is in Italy, and he's eventually forced to leave her. So this scene on the left, we've got the Nymphae Ulularuns. They're basically it's a wedding scene, but it's not a real wedding. Dido and Aeneas get trapped in a flood, and they end up in a cave, and they consummate their attraction. So from that point, Dido feels like they're married, but later Aeneas is like, "Lady, I didn't marry you. We just did it." And so he just bails on her after she has promised never to love again, and she gives him her heart, she gives him her body, and off he goes. So here's him looking sad, but you know he's not that sad. What a jerk. He's gonna go find some other wife in Italy. He's on the way off to Italy. He's got some more journey ahead. But Dido feels so shamed and so upset by what's happened that she commits suicide. So she's stabbing herself, and her sister Anna's not in this image, but she has her sister help her build her own funeral pyre and set it alight. And it's a really nasty death scene. I highly recommend reading it sometime. It's just an interesting scene. But this is real depictions of this poem. There's actually stuff from the poem on the page. It's very cool. So let's go ahead and walk through the scene with that information in mind. And also remember that Andreas and Illuminata can't be in the same room together, but they're in the same book together. And I think that is so special. So Piero, who is our mentor in this game, He's like a sweet little old monk. Adorable. Also, check it out. You get some new art. This is so nice. Piero loves Aeneid, but Illuminata doesn't, and we're going to talk about why. So she walks in, poses with the book, and I just think that was so cool. So Aeneas chooses his duty to the gods over his lover Dido. Accurate. And so here's Andreas asking, well, do you think that Piero likes the story because Aeneas chooses duty over pleasure? And so does Piero. He's a monk. So Illuminata gives Piero credit for taking his vocation very seriously. And Andreas is like, well, you take yours seriously too. But Illuminata then brings up a really important point, which is that she didn't have a choice in her vocation, and a lot of women really don't. So you, as the male participant in this conversation, get to choose how to respond to her. And what's really interesting is that there's a thought bubble. You can click these, and you can see what Andreas is thinking. And he's got these little different personalities that represent kind of different aspects of his mind and of his personality. And you can choose which one you want to read. So you could think, how would you know? And we're going to choose to say, you're right, of course, and not be rude to her, because obviously. So Illuminata appreciates this. But then this is so amazing to me. She walks through the book and then kneels where Dido is dying in the image. And then talks about the role of women in literature and story. And it's such a subtle thing, but if you know what you're looking at, somebody really thought this out. This is so detailed, and it's so lovely, and it's so just moving in a way to watch these two people connect in a book who aren't supposed to be in the same room in real life, come to an understanding over a book. And so Andreas achieves some understanding. And Illuminata says, it's fine poetry for men. And what a good line. You go, Illuminata. And then she wants our books. So I felt that we should see that scene because I think it's really emblematic of what makes this game really special. There are tons of different people, and there's tons of different scenes, and there's tons of different kinds of things you're going to encounter through this game. You're going to meet peasants, you're going to meet tradespeople, you're going to meet families. There are characters who die, there are characters who are born throughout the course of this game. But it's these little thoughtful moments where you're really interacting with history and with literature and with the past that make the game special. And as a classicist, the Aeneid stuff was really special to me, but it gets better in so many ways because this town is built on some Roman ruins, and the ruins are something that play a role in the lives of everybody in the town, even if they don't even know what they're really looking at or what they are dealing with, because it's just part of their surroundings. And so you get this idea of history as still present and still impacting the people who are living right on top of it. And that's really meaningful to me as somebody who believes in the preservation of and study of this kind of history. And I really felt like I was playing something made by a kindred spirit when I played this game. So I highly recommend that you play Pentiment. It is absolutely worth exploring every nook and cranny of this game. Every detail is very lovingly made. It is so beautiful. And yes, it's a murder mystery, and there's like some fun to that, but it doesn't give you the same sort of satisfaction of a normal murder mystery. And you'll see what I mean when you play it. But what it does give you is, I think, something much more profound, because it's a beautiful reflection on life and on art, on the choices you make, and on how you choose to remember your choices and depict yourself when it's your turn to do history. And I was absolutely moved by this game to the point where I cried at the end, and I would do it again. And so I really can't recommend Pentiment enough. I really mean that. I absolutely love this game. It's going to be one of my top video games of all time. I can't imagine loving a piece of art that is also a video game more than I have loved this game. And so if you've got $20 or an Xbox subscription, because it's free on there right now, I really recommend that you play this. It is stunning. I've never seen anything quite like it. I hope I see something else like it in the future because I enjoyed it so very much. And I wanted to share it with y'all to encourage you to take a walk on the history side and let this game work its magic on you. Even though magic is forbidden at this time and can get you burned at the stake, just trust the magic of this game. So, with that said, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, ask questions, and most of all, happy gaming.